protests over complaints by academics about excess workload and the management's failure to pay staff allowances for the past 18 months. The Coalition of the Federal Pensioners of Nigeria has threatened a nationwide naked protest scheduled to take place on October 6th if government fails to implement pension increments and palliatives. The coalition's national chairman, Comrade Mukaila Ogunbote, announced this during a press conference in Lagos yesterday. Ogunbote, who also chairs the Nigeria Union of Pensioners NIPO's chapter, said pensioners had given government until this month to settle arrears, increments and palliatives. He warned that failure to act would leave the pensioners with no choice but to embark on a nationwide naked protest on October 6th. According to him, the protest would symbolically expose government's failure and highlight pensioners' grievances before the public. Ogunbote recalled that in October 2023, President Bola Tinubu approved 35,000 naira for workers and 25,000 naira for pensioners as palliatives. He said workers received their payments within 1 month of approval, yet pensioners are still waiting for theirs nearly a year later. Ogunbote noted that workers had since demanded and received additional palliatives for 10 months, while pensioners' requests for 6 months' worth remained unmet. He said President Tinubu had also directed an increment of 13,000 naira in pensions, but no implementation had followed from the Ministry of Finance or the Accountant General. The Contributory Pensioners Union of Nigeria, CPUN, have called on the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, to pay the backlog of pension entitlements as promised by the federal government to all categories of contributory pensioners. This is coming from the heels of the announcement by PENCOM in February this year to float 758 billion naira bond for the purpose of offsetting pension liability under the Contributory Pension Scheme, CPS. The contributory pensioners under the CPUN said that they have been waiting patiently for the payment, but it has not been made. They lamented that many of their members have died without being paid their benefits, crying that they want to receive theirs while alive. The chairman, Prince Akingbade Ajibade, made this known in a communique arising from the deliberations of Ibadan branch on the situation of the impending payment of backlog of pension entitlements as promised by the federal government to all categories of contributory pensioners. Ajibade also called for a revisit of the issue of palliative allowance of 32,000 naira, which the president ordered to be paid to existing pensioners. That's all for Labour News Roundup. I'm Aminat Oshikoya.
You're still on to Pensioners 106.7 FM Ibadan. Yes, Oshishegbo, the Workers' Timeout is the show. And please, our dear esteemed listeners, do not forget that you can always follow us across our social media platforms. We're live on YouTube right now, Pensioners FM 106.7. You can get to watch us on our YouTube page. You can also follow us on Facebook at Pensioners FM, Instagram Pensioners 106.7 FM, on X, formerly Twitter, Pensioner 106.7 FM. There is no S there, so Pensioner 106.7 FM. And on TikTok, Pensioners 106.7 FM. Òṣìṣẹ́gbòde òun náà ní ètò ẹ rí i pé bá a ṣe ń ṣe kinní ọ̀hún àti débi kòńkòndó báyìí ká sì gbé àwọn àlejò wa ká gbé wọn wá òun náà ní tó kàn ṣùgbọ́n ẹ ti mọ bí a ṣe ń ṣe tá bá ti fẹ́ gbé àwọn àlejò wa sí orí afẹ́fẹ́ àkọ́kọ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí ó ṣe agbátẹrù ètò yìí àwọn ẹgbẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ látòrí Comrade Káyọ̀dé Martins tí wọ́n jẹ́ alága fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́, Comrade Adéjọkẹ́ Oyèlékè igbákejì alága, ká dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Comrade Báyọ̀ Àríbátiṣe tí wọ́n jẹ́ akọ̀wé ẹgbẹ́, Comrade Ṣeun Ọlánìpẹ̀kun alága ìgbìmọ̀ ìjíròrò ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́, Comrade Adéọlá Ọdẹ́dínà alága NUPTE, pàtàkì ní ipò wọn nínú ètò eléyìí tí à ń ṣe yìí, Comrade Kẹ́hìndé Ọláyádé alága Aratawu nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ nìyẹn, wọn ò fi wálẹ̀ ńgbà kọ̀ọ̀kan, Comrade Àbáyọ̀mí Razak Abíọ́lá, gbogbo wọn pátápátá ni wọ́n ń dìde tí wọ́n sì ń ṣùgbà wa ní ọ̀sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀. Ibo la wá ń lọ lórí ètò fún tòní. Ẹ rí i pé ní nǹkan bí ọ̀sẹ̀ mélòó kan sẹ́yìn, pàápàá jùlọ ńgbà tí a tiẹ̀ fi ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò yìí, àwọn tí àkọ́kọ́ mú wọ́n wà lára àwọn tí àkọ́kọ́ mú ẹjọ́ wọn gbọ́ àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí nígbà náà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ bá rántí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí wọ́n ní àwọn ń béèrè àjẹ́lẹ̀ owó àwọn tó wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ ní ilé ìfowópamọ́ kan ní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Ẹgbẹ́ irú wọn ni àwa ń gbà lálejò. Wọ́n ń pè wọ́n ní NUBIFE. Àwọn ni National Union of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions Employees. Àwọn ni à ń gbà lálejò ní òní tí aṣojú wọn sì ti wà ní ìkàlẹ̀. Aṣojú wọn náà ni Comrade Fakunle Rufai tí wọ́n jẹ́ former chairman NUBIFE across Ọ̀yọ́, Ọ̀ṣun, Ondo àti ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì, ṣùgbọ́n báyìí ex officio òun náà ni wọ́n fún ẹgbẹ́ yìí. Comrade Rufai, ẹ kú kalẹ̀.
A kí yín o, ẹ kú iṣẹ́ o.
Ẹ ṣeun tí a pè yín tí ẹ jẹ́ wá. Ṣé mọ̀ pé ẹgbẹ́ yín ó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn tí ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní ilé ìfowópamọ́, àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní insurance companies, any company tó bá ti ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀náwó nǹkan. Ẹ sọ fún wa ní pàtó báwo ló ṣe rọrùn sí, torí ẹ̀yin náà alága tẹ́lẹ̀ nìyí, báwo ló ṣe rọrùn sí láti kó irú ẹgbẹ́ yìí jọ? Tó bá jẹ́ ti ilé ìfowópamọ́ là ń sọ, a mọ̀ pé ilé ìfowópamọ́ nìkan là ń sọ, ṣùgbọ́n ó tún ní àwọn ẹ̀ka míì yàtọ̀ sí ilé ìfowópamọ́ nìkan. Báwo ni ó ṣe rọrùn sí láti kó ẹgbẹ́, àti pé báwo gan ni ẹgbẹ́ NUBIFE ló ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ tó fi wá dé ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́?
Ẹ ṣé olóòtú, a kí yín lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀, ẹ kú atótónu, ẹ sì kú iṣẹ́. Tí ẹgbẹ́ NUBIFE ó dúró lórí, ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú gbogbo àwọn tó bá ń ṣe ọ̀tọ̀ lórí owó, bóyá wọ́n ń fowó pamọ́ tàbí àwọn tó ń fi owó ṣe iṣẹ́. Ohun tí ẹgbẹ́ yẹn dúró lé lórí nìyẹn. Tí a bá dẹ̀ wá wò pẹ̀lú ìbéèrè yín, kò rọrùn láti kó ẹgbẹ́ yìí jọ nítorí pé kì í ṣe ilé iṣẹ́ kan. Tó bá jẹ́ pé báǹkì nìkan òun ni a fẹ́ kó jọ, ó rọrùn láti lọ bá àwọn tó jẹ́ adarí ilé iṣẹ́ wípé a fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan báyìí. Ṣùgbọ́n tó ti jẹ́ sí wípé ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn insurance, àwọn tó ń adójútòfò, ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú wọn. Bákan náà àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ tí tá à ń pè ní POS nísìnyí yẹn,
àwọn fintech.
Yes, ó kó àwọn náà papọ̀. So kò rọrùn, ṣùgbọ́n pẹ̀lú sùúrù Ọlọ́run ràn wá lọ́wọ́ láti rí i pé a ṣàṣeyọrí lórí wọn láti kó wọn jọ.
Nígbà tí ẹ fi jẹ́ alága, state mélòó ni ẹ jẹ́ alága lé lórí?
Mo jẹ́ alága fún Ọ̀yọ́, Ọ̀ṣun, Oǹdó àti ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì.
Kí ló tó fi rí bẹ́ẹ̀? Ṣé àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ yín ò pọ̀ nípínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan ni wọ́n fi ní kí wọ́n ó ní alága kan? Èmi rò bóyá ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan ló yẹ kó ní alága àti ẹgbẹ́ tiẹ̀.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan ló yẹ kó ní alága kọ̀ọ̀kan, ṣùgbọ́n bí a ṣe sóònù rẹ̀ látòkè wá nìyẹn. So a ní àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tó pọ̀, a kàn ní àwọn aṣojú kọ̀ọ̀kan tí wọ́n ń ṣojú wa ní ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan. Tó jẹ́ pé àwọn yẹn wọ́n máa fún wa ní report nǹkan tí iṣẹ́ tá a bá gbéra wọn, bí wọ́n bá ṣe ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn wọ́n á wá fún wa ní report tí wọ́n bá fún wa yẹn làwa náà fún àwọn ọ̀gá wa lókè la ó ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí.
Lẹ́yìn àgbọ́yé tèmi, ẹ rí i pé Ọ̀yọ́, Ọ̀ṣun, Oǹdó àti Èkìtì ni ẹ dárúkọ yẹn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Èkó ò sí ń bẹ̀,
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Ògùn ò sí ń bẹ̀.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, kò sí.
Kí ló fà á?
Ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé àwọn yẹn dá dúró lọ́tọ̀ ni. Èkó gangan ló jẹ́ olú ìlú tí a fi ṣe ibùjókòó, so ó dá dúró lọ́tọ̀ ni.
Èkó ni national headquarters.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ló wà. So Ogun State náà òun náà dá dúró tiẹ̀ lọ́tọ̀ ni.
Kí ló dé?
A kò kó pọ̀ nítorí pé kò rọrùn fún wa láti sọ wípé ká kó láti Ọ̀yọ́ ká máa kó lọ sí ìsàlẹ̀ báyìí ká tún wá padà wá sẹ́yìn pé a tún lọ kó Ògùn tàbí Èkó mọ́, kò rọrùn.
Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn èèyàn ò fojú wo pé tó bá jẹ́ regional leadership náà lẹ bá fẹ́ ṣe, ẹ ti mọ̀ pé South West region kan nìyẹn, èyí tí àwọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ó mọ̀ wò náà nìyẹn pé ó ṣe á rí bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ẹni tó jẹ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wípé gbogbo àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ yìí tí à ń sọ, Oǹdó àti Èkìtì, a kò ní ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tó pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ, tó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ. Ṣùgbọ́n ní Ọ̀yọ́, a ní Ogun State, a ní ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tó pọ̀. Ní Èkó, a ní àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ gan tó pọ̀ púpọ̀ jù. Ọ̀yọ́ àti Ọ̀ṣun la tún ní àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tó pọ̀ jù yàtọ̀ sí
Ìgbà wo gangan ni wọ́n dá ẹgbẹ́ yìí lẹ̀? Tá a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé national pé leadership, ṣé àwọn pé ó ṣeé ṣe kó jẹ́ pé state kan ni wọ́n tiẹ̀ ti kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ kó tó wá di pé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí gbòòrò kí wọ́n tó wá dé national. Ṣùgbọ́n tẹ́ bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa pé ìtàn Nubife
bank ni ẹgbẹ́ yìí ti bẹ̀rẹ̀.
báǹkì lẹ́yìn ti ṣiṣẹ́.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kì í ṣe wípé ojú mi ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀, kì í ṣe pé bóyá àjọ kó jọ ni kó tó di pé wọ́n bí èmi ká, tàbí kí n sọ pé kó tó di pé èmi gangan dáyé òun ni ẹgbẹ́ yìí ti bẹ̀rẹ̀, tó ẹgbẹ́ tó ti wà ní ọjọ́ pípẹ́ ni.
Ó dà ní ara nǹkan tèmi tún fẹ́ fàyọ ń bẹ̀, banks, financial institutions, àwọn adójútòfò, ṣé mọ̀ pé ordinarily èyàn ò wá rò pé ẹni bá ti jẹ́ irú ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ yìí kò yẹ kí yàntà ń pè ní òfò kó jẹ́. Ǹjẹ́ ìlànà kan àbí nǹkan kan wà tí ẹgbẹ́ yín gan gbé kalẹ̀ pé ẹni bá ti jẹ́ ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ Nubife o, insurance policy kan ti wà tó cover nǹkan kan bẹ́yìn adójútòfò, ò fẹ́ yáwó ni o, a ti gbé ètò kan kalẹ̀, ètò owó yá nígbà yẹn pàmò òṣìṣẹ́ báǹkì náà bẹ́ẹ̀ ǹjẹ́ irú àwọn ètò welfare àbáyé ṣé ó wà?
ẹ ṣe olóòtú, àwọn Yorùbá bá ń pa lówe wípé ipa tí a pa ọmọ awo a kò gbádọ̀ pa ọmọ ọ̀gbẹ̀rì bẹ́ẹ̀. Bí a ṣe lè fi ọwọ́ mú àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ yìí ó yàtọ̀ sí bí a ṣe lè fi ọwọ́ mú àwọn tí wọn kì í ṣe òye tí wọn kò kì í, bí a ṣe lè fọwọ́ mú àwọn tó jẹ́ ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ yìí, bí a ṣe lè tọ́jú wọn ó yàtọ̀ sí bí a ṣe lè tọ́jú àwọn tí à ń ṣe ìjọba lé lórí. Àwa tí wọ́n jẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ yìí ọwọ́ ọ̀tọ̀ tí wọ́n fi mú wọn, kì í ṣe pé bóyá ó yàtọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ, ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo wa pátápátá náà la rí wípé a ṣe ohun tó tọ́ àti ohun tó yẹ láti rí wípé ìyà kò jẹ ẹnikẹ́ni, àti wípé ẹ̀tọ́ tó bá yẹ kí á fún èèyàn kọ̀ọ̀kan a kò fi dùn.
Èyí ni pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí àjọ àbí kí n sọ pé ẹgbẹ́ Nubife kì í ṣe pé ẹ ní ètò kan ń pàtó, ṣùgbọ́n ohun tí ẹ̀ ń ṣe ni wípé káàkiri gbogbo ibi tí iléeṣẹ́ tí àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ ti ṣe ń rí i pé ẹ̀tọ́ wọn nílé iṣẹ́ wọn ò fi dùn wọn. Ṣé n tẹ́ ń gbìyànjú àti sọ?
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni olóòtú, kì í ṣe pé bóyá a dá orí àkàlàfà la fi tàwòdì sílẹ̀ tàbí nǹkan kan sílẹ̀, gbogbo wa pátápátá ikú ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀tọ́ kan náà ni gbogbo wa ní. So ohun tó bá tọ́ sí A ó tọ́ sí B, so a ṣí àyè lẹ̀ pé kíyà ó jẹ ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ kankan tàbí àwa tí a jẹ́ aṣojú wọn.
Ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbà tí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí wọ́n bá ń jà fún ẹ̀tọ́, NLC tí wọ́n bá jáde, bóyá TUC tí wọ́n jáde tí wọ́n ń jà fẹ́tọ̀, lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbà àwọn èèyàn máa ń rò pé àwọn tí ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní báǹkì, ilé ìfowópamọ́, àwọn adójútòfò, pàápàá jùlọ àwọn ètò bá ti jẹ́ pé ṣé àwọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ báǹkì náà kì í ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ìjọba náà ló ní wọn, wọn èé darapọ̀ mọ́, ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ lórí?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́, NLC òun ló jẹ́ ọ̀mbrẹ́là fún gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ tó kù. Tí a bá kọ̀ pé a kò bá wọn ṣe, tí a bá ní ìṣòro tó kọjá tí agbára wa ká, àwọn ni bàbá wa, àwọn ni ìyá wa, àwọn láṣọ tá a fi bora. Tí a bá sì ti pè wọ́n lọ́wọ́ kan, a mọ̀ wípé wọ́n ti wà lẹ́yìn.
Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ìfẹ̀hónúhàn míì wà tí ẹgbẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ máa ń ṣe tí báǹkì ó sì ṣí tí wọ́n ó ṣiṣẹ́.
Rárá, kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ó lójú ètò ó lójú ìdáṣẹ́sílẹ̀ tí wọ́n lè ṣe tí báǹkì ò ní kópa nínú rẹ̀. Yìí ṣe gbogbo. Tí ó bá ti jẹ́ wípé NLC òun ló pe irú ìpè bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, kò sí báǹkì tàbí iléeṣẹ́ adójútòfò kankan tí kò ní darapọ̀ láti ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ó dà, ẹja tún wá gbégbá báyìí. Ṣé àmọ́ pé ní àwọn gbogbo iléeṣẹ́ báǹkì àti àwọn, ẹ má bínú pé mò ń ṣàǹtẹnumọ́ báǹkì, ṣùgbọ́n tí mo mọ̀ dájú náà ni pé ìdáṣẹ́sílẹ̀ kéèyàn down tools kéèyàn kèé sábà wọ́pọ̀ ní báǹkì. Ní tí mo wá fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ bá wa yàn ní kẹ́ ẹ bá wa ṣàlàyé lórí ńbẹ̀ ni pé ṣé ká sọ pé torí pé ẹ̀ka tí ó ń pawó wọlé tó ń ṣe bí a ṣe ń ṣe káràkátà ọrọ̀ ajé, ṣe àwọn ọ̀pọ̀rọ̀ tó bá ti ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ owó ni, ṣé ká sọ pé torí pé ó ṣe pàtàkì, kéde pé ó ṣe pàtàkì sí ìjọba, ó ṣe pàtàkì fún ìlú gangan fúnra rẹ̀, òun ló fi jẹ́ pé sector yẹn kì í sábà sí wàhálà ń bẹ ṣé n tó fà á nìyẹn.
ẹ ṣe olóòtú ṣe rí nǹkan tó fà á báǹkì ó jẹ́ ilé iṣẹ́ kan tó jẹ́ ti wípé olówó rẹpẹtẹ olówó rẹpẹtẹ o lè mọ́ wá síbẹ̀ láti wá tajà láti wá ra ọjà ìdí eléyìí a ò gbọ́dọ̀ fi ohun tọ́tọ́ sí ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan ká fi dùn wọ́n ẹ rí wípé inú ilé báǹkì yìí ibẹ̀ làwọn tí ó tajà àwọn tí ó rajà àwọn tí ó fowó ránṣẹ́ àwọn tí ó gbowó ibẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti ń wá ni wọ́n ti ń ṣètò yìí fún ìdí eléyìí a ò gbọ́dọ̀ fi taratara ká máa fi ẹ̀tọ́ aráàlú dùn wọ́n nítorí pé wọ́n ní ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ nínú iléeṣẹ́ báǹkì ló jẹ́ kí wọ́n máa fowó wọn síbẹ̀ kò wá gbọ́dọ̀ tó àkókò tó jẹ́ wípé wọ́n nílò owó yìí pé wọ́n fẹ́ sáré rajà kan ká wá pé a wà ní àṣìṣe o ẹ rí i pé irú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ó lè mú ọrọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè tàbí ọrọ̀ àwùjọ tàbí ọrọ̀ èèyàn kọ̀ọ̀kan gan kó forí ṣánpọ́n.
ṣé ìdí ẹ̀ ló tó fi jẹ́ pé ẹgbẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ yìí sábà bínú sí nùbífẹ̀ tí ẹ bá darapọ̀ mọ́ kínní wọn.
tí a kò bá ní darapọ̀ mọ́ àjọ ní àjọsọ yìí pọ̀ a gbọ́dọ̀ àwọn láṣọ ìbora wa a gbọ́dọ̀ tí a bá sọ wípé wọ́n máa fún wa ní ètò ọ̀tọ̀ ní pé agogo báyìí láago báyìí ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ ṣílẹ̀kùn agogo báyìí ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ ṣílẹ̀kùn tí a bá ti gba ìdarí ìtọ́ni láti ọ̀dọ̀ wọn aago 8 ni ẹ ṣílẹ̀kùn o aago 9 ni kẹ́ ẹ tilẹ̀kùn o tá a bá ti ṣílẹ̀kùn láago 8 ẹni tó bá wọlé láago 8 láàdà lóhùn tó bá ti di aago 9 á tilẹ̀kùn nìyẹn a gbọ́dọ̀ lòdì sí ti àwọn aṣọ ìbora wa tí wọ́n bá sọ.
ká tó gbà yín láyè kẹ́ tó máa lọ ẹ má bínú ẹ jẹ́ tún torí kókó ìfọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ tá à ń ṣe lórí ètò yìí òun náà ni pé bí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ bí ìdẹ̀rùn ó ṣe dé bá wọn báwọn náà ó ṣiṣẹ́ máa ṣiṣẹ́ wọn bí iṣẹ́ bó tiẹ̀ jẹ́ pé ẹ̀yin ò ṣe alága mọ́ ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan tó wà níbẹ̀ náà ni wípé àwọn èèyàn yín tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ pàápàá jùlọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ǹjẹ́ ẹ̀ ń bá wọn dá sí ètò àbí kí ni tẹ́lẹ̀ sọ fún wa lórí ètò ń pa ọ̀rọ̀ welfare bí wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe sí lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ wọn ṣé nùbífẹ̀ ṣó ń ṣàyẹ̀wò wọn lóòrèkóòrè ṣé kò sí wàhálà níbi iṣẹ́ wọn.
ẹ ṣe nítorí pé mi ò kì í ṣe alága mọ́ kò túmọ̀ sí wípé mi ní máa wo ohun tó ń lọ tàbí kí n mọ bí àwọn tó wà lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe ń tọ́jú wọn sí nítorí pé ẹni tó jẹ́ alága lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí àjọ ní àfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ débi wípé bí nǹkan kan bá ṣẹlẹ̀ a ó pera wa so à ń bójútó ìtọ́jú àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ à ń dá sí àṣírí pé ó ń lọ déédéé bó ti tọ́ àti bó ṣe yẹ.
ó sì ń lọ déédéé bó ti tọ́ àti bó ṣe yẹ. nípa ìyẹn torí nǹkan tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn tí wọ́n fẹ́ mọ̀ náà ni pé ọ̀rọ̀ casualization ṣẹ́rí casualization mi ò tí ì fẹ́ rí ẹ̀ka tí ò fẹ́ sí bóyá Greek ni o bóyá báńkì ni o bóyá even telecoms ó wà ní telecoms.
Yeah, there are some companies that say
ó dà ó wà ní Ratahu ó dà ẹjẹ́ àsọ casualization pàápàá jùlọ lọ́rọ̀ bank àti àwọn adójútòfò ṣé àwọn tó bá gbà gẹ́gẹ́ bí casual workers ǹjẹ́ nùbífẹ̀ ń gbégbèsè lórí ẹ̀ pé kéèkàn ṣe pé wọ́n gbà wọ́n tó bá yá wọn àdá wọn lẹ̀ àbí wọn ò tiẹ̀ ní ṣe wọ́n bí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tó yẹ pé wọ́n gbà lójúlówó gangan.
ẹ ṣe olóòtú ṣe rí kò sí iléeṣẹ́ tí kò ní àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tá à ń pè ní kásùà ṣùgbọ́n ní iléeṣẹ́ wa tí a mọ̀ sí báńkì iléeṣẹ́ ìfowópamọ́ àti adójútì òfò ó wà ń bẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n gẹ́gẹ́ bí ààrẹ wa tó jẹ́ ààrẹ wa ní national president fún nùbífẹ̀ ó ń gbé àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ kan lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí débi wípé ní báńkì o àti iléeṣẹ́ adójútòfò wípé pé kò sí nǹkan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ ààrẹ wa sì ó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí kí ọlọ́run kó fún wọn ṣe ni.
kọ́lọ́run fún wọn ṣe èmi mọ̀ pé eléyìí tẹ́ ẹ sọ yẹn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ akàn wọn á kàn gbà pé káwọn ó kàn gbà wọlé ni torí ọ̀rọ̀ casual àti òṣè casual yìí ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ tí tó ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń ṣẹlẹ̀ pàápàá jùlọ lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí nípa ọ̀rọ̀ casualization tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sì máa ń fẹ́ wòye ń bẹ̀ náà ni pé kí ló dé tó fi jẹ́ pé àwọn kan wọn ó gbà wọ́n gẹ́gẹ́ bí ojúlówó òṣìṣẹ́ àwọn kan wọn ò ní gbà wọ́n gẹ́gẹ́ bí ojúlówó òṣìṣẹ́ wọn à ní káwọn yẹn nìkan máa fi ṣe casual workers àti pé àwọn employer gan fúnra wọn ǹjẹ́ wọ́n ń ṣe kinní yẹn pẹ̀lú consciousness àti conscience tó dáa ṣùgbọ́n mo mọ̀ pé gbogbo eléyìí yẹn ó lè má jẹ́ pé onílẹ̀bà wa dáhùn ẹ̀ lórí ètò ṣùgbọ́n tí ó wá ṣẹlẹ̀ ní pé àwọn báǹkì kan wà tí wọ́n yìí fẹ́ jẹ́ kò ṣe báǹkì nìkan àti sọ tó jọmọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ lórí ètò yìí ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó lọ tí wọ́n yìí fẹ́ gbà kí àwọn èèyàn wọn kí wọ́n ó ṣẹgbẹ́ pàápàá jùlọ bó ṣe kan ẹ̀yin tẹ́ jẹ́ nòbífè ṣé ẹ ti gbọ́rọ̀ ẹ̀ rí tẹ́ bá ti gbọ́rọ̀ ẹ̀ rí kí ni tí ẹ ṣe lákìtìyàn.
ẹ ṣe olóòtú lóòótọ́ ni pé àwọn báǹkì kan tàbí iléeṣẹ́ adójútòfò wọn kì í fẹ́ gbà kí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ wọn kí wọ́n darapọ̀ mọ́ òṣìṣẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n pẹ̀lú oore ọ̀fẹ́ tí Ọlọ́run fún wa à ń fi ọgbọ́n Ọlọ́run kún iṣẹ́ yìí iṣẹ́ ọgbọ́n ìwé nìkan là ń lò pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ à ń fi ọgbọ́n Ọlọ́run kún láti rí wípé a wọlé sí àwọn tó jẹ́ ọ̀gá wọn lára láti jẹ́ wípé wọ́n yọ̀ǹda àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ wọn fún wa a ò dẹ̀ kí ń fà á lágídí a kì í bá wọn jà ó lè ná wa ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àkókò ṣùgbọ́n sùúrù ni la fi máa ń gbà wọ́n wọlé.
ọ̀rà torí àkókò wa ẹ mọ̀ pé a ti sọ pé àní gbà yín lásìkò ṣùgbọ́n báyìí bó ṣe rí náà ẹ faramọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni torí pé ẹ jẹ́ àdé ojúde lọ́hùn náà nígbà bá dójúde lọ́hùn tá a bá padà dé a wo ibi tí a ti ṣí bàbá wálẹ̀ lórí ètò fún tòní ẹ̀yin èèyàn wálé à ń lọ à ń padà bọ̀.
sí iṣẹ́ o ìyà ń bọ̀ fọ́mọ tí ó mọ ẹ̀bùn ń bẹ fọ́mọ tí ń sákéré ìyà ń bọ̀ fọ́mọ tí ó mọ ẹ̀bùn ń bẹ fọ́mọ tí ń sákéré má fòwúrọ̀ ṣeré ọmọ mi múra sẹ́kọ̀ọ́ rẹ̀ ó yẹ ká múra sí iṣẹ́ wa ẹ jẹ́ ká múra sí iṣẹ́ wa. Tẹra mọ́ ṣẹ́rẹ́ ń tẹra mọ́ ṣẹ́rẹ́ ń tẹra mọ́ ṣẹ́rẹ́ ń jàre o tẹra mọ́ ṣẹ́rẹ́ ń tẹra mọ́.
ó ní owó iléèwé láti san bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ló ní bùkátà lọ́rùn láti gbọ́ ẹnìkan wá gbà á mọ̀ràn pé tó bá fẹ́ rówó wùrìwùrì kó ta eyín rẹ̀ tó ń dọmọ lára obìnrin ṣùgbọ́n wọn ò sọ ewu tó lè tẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ yọ fún un.
àwọn ewu ọ̀hún ni inú kíkan àtìgbàdégbà láàkó nǹkan oṣù tàbí lákòókò ìrọbí àyípadà nínú ìṣesí dídà ẹ̀jẹ̀ lára kí ọyàn máa dunni àwọn ìdojúkọ tó lè dènà rọbí àti àwọn ìpèníjà míì tó lè bá ìlera fínra.
ẹ̀yin ọ̀dọ́mọbìnrin ara yín ò kì í ṣe fún títà ẹ̀yin tó ń dọmọ lára obìnrin kì í ṣe ọ̀nà àti rówó nítorí ewu tó pọ̀ ńbẹ̀ tí wọn ò ní sọ fún yín. bákan náà ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń rọ àwọn obìnrin láti máa ta ẹyin ẹ jáwọ́ torí ipò léwu.
ìwọ ọ̀dọ́mọbìnrin
àlá rẹ wúlò ìlera rẹ ṣe iyebíye sọ pé rárá sí ìfi ẹyin tó ń dọmọ lára obìnrin fúnni lọ́nà tó léwu. ìkéde yìí wá láti iléeṣẹ́ Pensioners 106.7 FM.
Jẹ́ ká múra sí iṣẹ́ wa. Ẹ jẹ́ ká múra sí iṣẹ́ wa. Ṣiṣẹ́ o, ṣiṣẹ́ o, ṣiṣẹ́ o, ṣiṣẹ́ o. Ara mi bọ́ sétí o, ó tọ́ ká múra. Iṣẹ́ la fi ń dẹni gíga. Múra ọ̀rẹ́ mi, ẹ jẹ́ ká múra sí iṣẹ́ wa.
ọ̀dà ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ń lé ẹ ṣeun tí ẹ dúró tì wá níkànnì pensioners 106.7 FM àgbárígo onírèké ìbàdàn a lérò pé ẹ gbádùn ìfọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ eléyìí tí a ní pẹ̀lú bàbá wa tí wọ́n wá láti National Union of Banks and Financial Institutions Employees àwọn nobife nìyẹn comrade Fakunle Rufai tí wọ́n jẹ́ former chairman ẹgbẹ́ yìí tí wọ́n cover Ọ̀yọ́ Ọ̀ṣun Oǹdó pẹ̀lú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì bàbá wa a lérò pé bàbá tún pé nobife nígbà míì wọn ó jẹ wa.
pẹ̀lú orí ọ̀fẹ́ Ọlọ́run a ó jẹ yín.
ọ̀dà kí ni ní ìṣẹ́jú kan péré kí ni ọ̀rọ̀ ìyànjú eléyìí tí ẹ fẹ́ gba àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ yín pàápàá jùlọ àwọn èyí tí wọ́n wà lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ báyìí.
mo rọ gbogbo wa pátápátá ohun kan ṣoṣo ni a nílò ìtẹ́lọ́rùn nítorí pé kí wọ́n tó gbà wá síṣẹ́ yìí wọ́n á rí i pé a ní ìtẹ́lọ́rùn ni ẹ rí i pé ẹni tí owó bá fẹjú mọ́ tó bá lọ kówó lọ nílé iṣẹ́ yóò bà ilé iṣẹ́ jẹ́ so ìtẹ́lọ́rùn ló ṣe pàtàkì.
ìtẹ́lọ́rùn bàbá
ìwà fún gbogbo àwa tá a wà lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ so nǹkan tí mo lè sọ fún wa nìyẹn ká dẹ̀ ní ìfaradà ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nìyẹn nípa bẹ́ẹ̀ a ó ní àṣeyọrí ọmọlúwàbí ọ̀dẹ̀ ní bàjẹ́.
àmín ẹ ṣeun comrade Fakunle Rufai a lérò pé ẹ tún jẹ wá níjọ́ mi.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ ṣeun ẹ̀yin yẹn wá ń lé à ń padà bọ̀.
iṣẹ́ la fi ń tẹ̀lé gíga múra sí i ẹ jẹ́ ká múra sí iṣẹ́ wa ẹ jẹ́ ká múra sí iṣẹ́ o síṣẹ́ o síṣẹ́ o síṣẹ́ múra síṣẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi lọ sí tí o ó tọ́ ká ṣiṣẹ́ iṣẹ́ la fi ń tẹ́lẹ̀ gíga ká múra sí o.
Well, thank you so much for keeping it locked on the Pensioners 106.7 FM Ibadan. Yes, if you just joined us, it's Workers' Timeout, and this is the voice of liberation. Okay, so our attention will be focused on a critical issue that has been shaping the national conversation, and that has got to be the far-reaching tax and fiscal reforms that the President Bola Tinubu has just introduced. Recently, we heard former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, who has described these reforms as the most ambitious overhaul of Nigeria's fiscal framework in decades. And in fact, he went further to say that President Tinubu could be remembered as Nigeria's foremost economic reformer. But there are questions to be asked. There are concerns that have been raised. And one of the questions would be the fact that what does this reform mean, especially for Nigerian workers, families and businesses, even on the ground? Are they transformative? Are they not? How are they added to the economic pressure, especially for the Nigerian people? So I'll be having this one-on-one conversation with a member of the NLC Media Committee. I'm talking about Comrade ABIOLA Odedino, who is also the chairman, NUPTE. Or your state. Comrade Odedino, it's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Thank you, Comrade. Thank you. And good morning, House.
Okay. We also have in the building Comrade Adejoke Oyeleke, the Vice Chairman, Nigeria Labour Congress, Oyo State Chapter. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, Comrade.
Good afternoon, and good day to every one of us. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start like this, because I would like to just lay the foundation for us so that we can actually know what is happening. And for the purpose of the conversation as well, everyone will get to know what the reforms have been. Now, I remember that when President Bola Tinubu assumed office, in fact, the first pronouncement he was going to make was that fuel subsidy is gone. And that happened in May 2023. We also heard about the introduction of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms. Of course, that one was led by Mr. Taiwo Oyedele. He championed that. The president also announced the unification of the exchange rate, streamlining and the consolidation of taxes. He pushed for increased tax to GDP ratio, and of course, the proposed expansion of the tax net. These are some of the fiscal reforms that the president has put in place, hoping that they will turn around the economic state or condition of Nigeria in the nearby future. So, from a labor union's perspective, how do you assess the reforms so far?
All right, thank you, sir. Now, if you're talking about reforms and policies, as we all know, there are what we call short time.
Yeah.
There's medium time and there's long time. Now, you actually have to find a way to implement it in the sense that the long-term reforms and policies will not affect people immediately. Now, when the president came, like you said, the first thing actually mentioned is that he's going to remove the fuel subsidy. I don't have any issue with that. And I'm not sure. People actually have issue, but personally, I don't have any issue. And when they actually interviewed the other two major candidates, too, they said the same thing, that they are going to remove the fuel subsidy. That means an average Nigerian could actually witness it across, if it's APC, PDP, any LP. But what are the plans that you actually had in ground before the removal of the fuel subsidy? That is short term. What are your short term plans? Removal of fuel subsidy is a long term effect. But have you actually talked about the medium term effect or short term effect? Because immediately you mentioned that subsidy is gone, everything in Nigeria changed the next day. Within 24 hours, everything changed. Because either you like it or not, fuel, petroleum, is still the major source of income to Nigeria, and that is what affects and that determines the living condition of an average Nigerian. So immediately he said fuel subsidy is gone, everything changed immediately. Fuel price jumped up, food price ×4, everything doubled or tripled or quadrupled. But the short-term policies to cushion that effect was not implemented. So what everybody now enter, just enter Baru, just like that. And that is what actually been affecting us till now. Some, like Dogara said that we are still going to feel it, but how long will we tighten our belt? This is 2 years plus now, and we are still tightening our belt. The tax, for example, the tax reform that was actually signed, that is going to be implemented by next year January. These are the things that are supposed to have been implemented before the removal of the subsidy. These are short term that you can just implement it before you can remove it, so that a normal person, anything less than 80,000 will know that no tax is going to be paid. From 80,000 to a starting amount, 15%. So all these things are things that you put into place first before the removal of the subsidy. No CNG bus, nothing. We are talking about how we are going to cushion effect with the farmers. You not actually do any of this. You just came, removed the subsidies, and everything just kaboom.
So you are saying that all those things that the president did after the removal of fuel subsidy, like the provision of CNG buses, the palliatives that were given to people, even
Those are
fertilizers
afterthoughts.
given to farmers.
Those are
You are
afterthoughts.
saying that the president should have thought about that before the announcement of the removal of fuel subsidy. Is that not what you're saying?
That's exactly. Now, if you actually want to do something like we all have families, now you actually want to do this, you put some things in place. In the next 3 months, this is what I'm going to do. The next 6 months, this is what I'm going to do. Next 9 months, then probably in the next 12 months, there's going to be final removal of the subsidy.
Okay, let me go to Comrade Kennedy Olayade. Let's talk about these policies and their implications on the ground now as they affect the Nigerian workers and, of course, the entire populace. You know, we talked about the removal of fuel subsidy and some other reforms, and after that, the Nigerian workers came out under the umbrella of TUC and NLC. They agitated. They called for increase in wages and salaries for the workers, which the government on their own, we may say they yielded. That it was a call that was made and they yielded. So that was a new minimum wage was arrived at. As we speak in this country today, how do these policies or how have these policies affected the economy of the Nigerian workers?
Well, like my brother really said, it's quite unfortunate that what we are experiencing today, we are where we are today. Let me say this: the present government, what they prepare for was taking over the government. They did not prepare for governance. That's just the bitter truth.
You think?
Yes, that is it. And what they are doing is trial and error. See, it is obvious that there is no blueprint. Very, very obvious. Now, you cannot just be experimenting with a program. Of course, if you have, it's not a bad idea to have a policies, but it is so obvious that these policies are coming up with, they have not been doing anything proud the time they came up with it. Because if they have been, kind of talking, bringing brains together on how they are going to go about it, we will be saying it. Now, we were meant to understand that the pronouncement of removal of subsidy was not part of what was supposed to, was in the speech of the president, meaning that there was no preparation for it. So you don't just, come up with policies with trial and error. It's very, very obvious. Like you mentioned CNG buses. Of course, it was aftermath of what happened, they now thought of CNG. If they had plans for CNG, they will have, kind of have CNG stations all over Nigeria. You can count the number of stations that sell CNG in Nigeria. From Ibadan to the last time I traveled to Gombe for our national daily conference of our union, we bought CNG in Ibadan. We didn't see it until we got to Abuja. So is that a plan by the government? Okay, you are promoting saying people should, embrace it, but there is no preparation for that. What is the work of the state governors? What is the work of the federal government? They ought to have been, make provision for this, such that when you are coming up with such, people will see that, of course, there's a kind of a plan towards making it easier for people to explore, to use such CNG buses and all the rest. So it is, and this issue of minimum wage as you mentioned, the last time I spoke here, I told you I'm a federal worker. As far as I'm concerned, there is no minimum wage at the federal level. It was a flat rate now. They just woke up and say, let us just add 20 or 30,000 to the present.
How do you mean there's no minimum wage?
Yes, there's no basis for which ask anybody that works with the federal government. I'm a federal government staff, and I'm telling you categorically clear that there is no. When you are coming up with minimum wage, there should be a table. You sit down, you look at it, look at the level.
Did the NLC not sit down with representatives of the federal government at the time of negotiation?
That I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm saying it that there is no. I can't say it's the minimum wage, because if you are a level 6, you are a level 7, there should be a kind of a table that you look at it. Step 1, it should be an increase. The increase should be incremental.
You should be able to determine your salary before
but it's just a flat rate. Let us just give them 20 or 30. Let us add on to it.
I understand your take, and I do know that when people do not feel a sense of responsibility, especially when you are supposed to be a crucial member of a particular negotiation, and you think that you are being sidelined, you tend to make your point and your argument. Well, that is not to say that you have not spoken well, but let me quickly bring on board Comrade Oyeleke. Yes, we should talk about the workers, and I also think that there should be mechanisms in place to ensure that workers are not just reacting to policies. They mentioned that it was only at the time of negotiation for minimum wage that the NLC was called upon. But at the time the government was planning for tax reforms and everything, perhaps the workers were sidelined. So from a labor union's perspective, do you think that there should be mechanisms in place to ensure that workers will not just come here to react to policies, but they are also part of the process, actively shaping the reformations and policies?
Thank you very much. You can see the way Comrade Kenny was, vibrating, because it seems as if you touch his marrow. Because when your neighbors, when they are benefiting something, and you are feeling as if, am I not a Nigeria? Am I not a worker? And that is why he is reacting that way. And like my comrade said, sincerely yours, Labour sees the reforms as well-intentioned. Sincerely, it is well-intentioned in theory, but purely executed.
So you mean the reforms are quite good, but they are not being executed well?
Exactly. And it is in most cases it is more beneficial to the elites, because in a situation whereby you just wake up a day, fine, our president has a good plan, he has a good idea, he has a good vision, he has a good focus, and we just wake up one day and we discover that no, this thing we are buying, take for instance, okay, what we are buying 10 naira has gone to 1,000 naira, and what you are having in your pocket that morning is that 10 naira, the exact 10 naira that you normally use. But it's quite different from advocacy, sensitization that come next month ending. So thing is going to happen. Prepare ahead, do this, guide yourself, make sure you equip your house, maybe with food stuff and the like. People will prepare ahead that coming next month, this thing is going to happen. And that is why I use that word.
So you think that the policies are okay, but you don't think they have been executed so well?
Exactly. It's just like maybe on paper, let me just do this thing, and when you are getting that result, but those that were feeling it knows that, and that is why when you are talking to somebody that has been really affected by the reform, it will tell you that there is nothing government is doing.
So in the long term, as we wind down today's program, in the long term, there are those who have projected, they have looked into the future, and they have been able to say that, look, in the next few years, these policies will come good for Nigeria. Do you see it like that?
Yes, that's why we said, I mentioned that it is well-intentioned. And that is why. But when we are going to benefit it is not a matter of this time. There is an adage in Yoruba that Anyogbe Ajadun. And before that is exactly what we are saying.
Okay.
That now that reform is a gradual, is a continual thing, but it's going to take. But before that time, what is going to happen to you as an individual?
So
in the
are
society?
you now calling on the government to drop the execution of these policies and perhaps come up with?
If I'm eating bread, you want to take the bread away from me, telling me that in the next 5, 6, 7 months, I'm going to be okay. You're going to provide me, let's say, what is, sweeter and better than bread.
All right.
But there should be a kind of a chin biscuit.
Like a form of alleviation.
Before that,
I understand.
You don't just take it away from me. Okay, before that one comes,
I understand. All right.
And that's what we are saying.
Yeah, this conversation, okay.
And lastly, the entire workforce in Oyo State, we want to congratulate our chairman, the #1 worker in Oyo State, Comrade Pastor Olusegun Kayode Martins, because he will be conferred
He's a
of
seasoned
an
unionist.
outstanding leadership award tomorrow
Wow.
by Global Skill Hub, United Kingdom,
Wow.
at Ibadan Civic Center. So you can join us if you have that
10
chance,
a.m.
10 a.m. So congratulations, Comrade Pastor Olusegun Kayode Martins.
Okay, that's for Comrade Kayode Martins there. When you mentioned the UK the other time, I thought everybody would be marching down to the UK. I never knew that it was
They are
going to be
coming down
held there
here.
in Ibadan. Okay.
Ibadan Civic Center.
All right.
One
So-
mass dance, UK.
All
One
right.
fly down. One fly
Okay.
up.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful time on the program today. I never knew that Labour in your state could have this kind of reservation concerning the policies of the federal government. But it's okay. I know this conversation will not end today. Maybe we continue, the next time we are on the show again. Maybe next week we continue this conversation because it's an issue of national importance. Let me appreciate the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Oyo State, ably led by Comrade Kayode Martins, Comrade Adejoke Oyeleke, the Vice Chairman, Comrade Bayo Aribatishe, Comrade Shola Nipekun, Comrade Adeola Odedino, Kehinde Olayade, as well as Abayomi, Abiola Razak. Thank you very, very much for putting this up. Our producer is Babatunde Tiameyu. I am Idris Abiola. We do this again some other time. Bye-bye.